Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. I recently spent 4 days at Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio, and one of the best parts about going to these bigger board game conventions is you get to see a lot of upcoming games. A lot of games that will be coming out later in 2023 or even in 2024. And it always gets me so excited for the board game hobby to see all these awesome upcoming games, you know? And so I like to do videos like this after the big conventions. These aren't reviews, I'm not reviewing the games here because in most cases I only played the game once, and in some cases I didn't even play a full game. I just demoed it for a while. So don't consider this a review, but consider this like me being excited and I got a taste of these games and I want to give you a taste of them too. So, it's just a nibble for us all. This video is organized into different award categories because it just helps me make it more digestible, helps me wrap my head around the games, what's the best I saw. So, these are my Origins awards, but take that as you will. Before I get into the board games, though, I actually want to talk about one bonus game here, and that is the Adventure Time RPG. The reason why this is a bonus is that I don't really cover RPGs on my channel that much. They're not something I play that often, and I don't play them that often because I am the person in my friend group that is always leading the games. I'm the one learning the rules, I'm the one teaching the rules, I'm the one organizing game nights, and so I feel like if I don't do that, we don't play games as often. And RPGs are oftentimes a very heavy lift for the GM. The GM has to prepare, they have to figure out the story, they have to figure out where to take the story, all that sort of stuff. And I don't have the patience to lead RPGs. If I get invited by somebody else to go join their campaign, I'm always happy to, because then I just get to sit back and play a silly character and have fun. I love doing that. I just don't want to lead them that often on my own. But the Adventure Time RPG, the reason why I was excited about that is because it makes it an easier lift for people that are newer to RPGs or want RPGs on a more casual level. There's not as much work for the GM in the game. And I like that the big innovative thing about the Adventure Time RPG is that, in most role-playing games, you have various different dice, types of dice, and you have to roll them for different skill checks, and based on the number, the GM will decide on whether you succeeded or failed and how well you succeeded. And there's, a lot of math that is sort of going into it based on like, okay, well, you rolled a 15, but you got a +2 on this. And so, all that sort of stuff. Well, the Adventure Time RPG takes all the numbers out of the game. And instead there are dice that refer to different abilities. This colored dice is your strength and this colored dice is your charisma, that sort of stuff. But on the dice is just yes or no or but or and so when you're like, I want to climb this wall, you roll a dice and it says yes but, and so you'd be like, yes, you successfully climbed that wall, but you banged your arm on the wall while you were doing it, and now you have to rub your funny bone for 3 minutes or whatever. It's yes and yes and you found a cool relic along the way. No, and you have to fight somebody at the bottom because they're waiting for you. It just keeps you in the narrative the whole time. Instead of having to do dice math, the Adventure Time RPG keeps you in the narrative, and I really like that sort of yes and aspect of the game. So check it out. The best two-player game I saw was Sirens from Envy Born Games. This is a very small box game. I mean, it's like a micro game that'll fit into your pocket, but it is really clever. It plays 1 or 2 players, and it plays in about 20 minutes. you are drafting cards and then building your tableau, and thematically you are building a siren song. And one of the coolest aspects of the game is after you have finished building your tableau, you can actually use an app and play a song. It will actually form a playable song with notes that are on the card, and so you can play your siren song when you're done building your tableau. I don't know, that's just super cool. It's like a gimmick, but man, is it a fun gimmick. Scoring wise, there's a lot of different icons on the cards, and based on the way you are putting them in your tableau, they're going to score in different ways. So you're just trying to maximize your points. You know, if you have this one next to this one, it's going to get you some points, but if you have these in other patterns, then they'll get you points in other ways. So, you know, it's just, I love having pocket games that you can just bring around with you anywhere. You can bring to a brewery, you can bring to other places like that. Well, Sirens is a great little quick drafting card game with that fun gimmick of you can play your song when you're done playing the game. The best cooperative game I saw was The Elder Scrolls from Chip Theory Games. This is an epic quest game. You are exploring, you are leveling up your characters, you are fighting bad guys, all the things you would expect in like an epic quest game, there is in The Elder Scrolls. It plays 1 to 4 players, and each scenario, it is based on different scenarios, and so you go out and sort of do one mission, and each mission is meant to be an hour or 2 hours, and there is, you know, you can play with the same people, you can play through the whole game, but you don't have to. You can, you know, it's not required, there's not like a through line that you won't get the story if you haven't played one of the previous scenarios, which I like because it's always very hard for me to get the same people back time and time again. The other cool thing about this game is I'm more of a medium weight gamer, and the Elder Scrolls is a medium weight game from Chip Theory Games. You know, most of their games are heavyweight games. This is a little bit easier to jump into, but it's still got all of the amazing production value that you expect from Chip Theory Games. It's going to have all the cool, you know, the big chips that you know have. You can see how powerful you are, how much health you have, how much health bad guys have. And you know, just the coolest part is you really are leveling up your character and you're choosing what to do. You have this board and you have different spots where you can put in skill levels, and then you can build your skill levels. But the interesting things is there's spots on both sides and you build them into the middle. So at some point you're going to max out, and where do you want that to be on the sort of spectrum? Like, do you want more of this ability, which means you're going to have less of this one, or do you want equal, you know, value in those two things? If you like, you know, cooperative sort of epic quest games, this one is really good. And honestly, it's like, you know, it's based on an IP, obviously, and sometimes when a game is based on an IP, you're like, okay, you know, sure, it's an okay game, and hopefully fans will love it. This is a game that anybody will like. Like, you don't have to care about the Elder Scrolls. It's just a fun quest game. I've never played the video game, and I had a great time just like beating bad guys. And you know, I played a full game of this, and we won on the very last spot. I was down to 1 health, and I had to roll this one thing to hit this bad guy, and I did. And I think that's a sign of a good game when there's that tension all the way through the end. It's like we either win or lose right now here at the end. Let's see what happens. For most innovative game, I'm going Diamond Dig from Mr. B Games. And the reason why I call it an innovative game is because they call it a double push your luck game. I love push your luck games. It's one of my favorite mechanisms because it's always so exciting, you know, where you're like, let's roll it one more time and see what happens. I love that tension in push your luck games. And this is a double push your luck game because in every round you have multiple chances to push your luck in multiple ways in the game. you will be moving up on different tracks. It's a theme of like, digging for gold. And you will be moving up on different tracks. And you do that by pulling chips from a bag. If you ever get the same type of chip, you bust. So, I've already pulled out 4 different types. Do I want to pull one more? Because there's a lot of repeats of those 4 that I've already pulled out, It's that sort of thing. And, it's fun just pulling stuff out of a bag blindly. That's a fun mechanism right there. But then also, later in the turn, after you've done that and moved up on some of these tracks, you can now dig in those areas, and you dig by pulling stuff from a different bag, and you were trying to get diamonds or emeralds and avoid fool's gold, because whoever has the most fool's gold gets punished at the end of the round. So there's another, so there are multiple bags to be pulling from in the game, and I just love that. Obviously, with any type of game like this, there is luck involved. That is why it is a double push your luck game. It has the word luck in the title. So I understand it's not going to be for everyone. If you don't want luck in your games, well, this one might not be for you. But if you want like a, sort of lighter, just fun, like, let's see if we can get the best hand, let's see if we can get the best pull, then Diamond Dig, I think, will be fun. The best family game I played is the Smurfs Hidden Village from Maestro Media. This one will be coming to Kickstarter in October this year, I believe. And so they're still working on it. I was playing a prototype, and there may be changes, but even playing a full game of the prototype made me excited. I love family cooperative games because I think they're one of the best ways to get new people into the hobby. It's one of the best ways to pull people into the joys of board gaming. And I think the Smurfs Hidden Village is going to do that really well. That's what makes me excited about this game. Now, I played it with mostly other adults, and the other adults liked it too. So it's not like you have to have a family to enjoy this game. But, a 10-year-old can probably play the game, a 12-year-old for sure. In the game, you are recruiting different Smurfs. You are placing them on spots. There's worker placement where you're getting resources. You're using those resources to build Smurf houses. You got to get cakes in order to have a party for your Smurf village. And you are avoiding, Gargamel and other bad guys. So it really does fit the Smurfs theme. If you were a fan of Smurfs, then you're gonna, there's a lot of stuff in here that you'll really appreciate. All the different Smurfs look the same, but they have different special abilities, which is, that's kind of what Smurfs are like anyways. You can't tell them apart, but they have different personalities. And so they sort of nail that in this game as well. It is, it's fun to get resources. There are 3-dimensional buildings, and you flip it up, and it has a toadstool roof, and that's fun. Makes you feel like you're in the Smurfs world. But, again, it's definitely family weight. Plays 1 to 5 players in about 30 minutes. And I'm excited for it to come out because I think it'll get some more people into board games. The best theme for a game I saw there was Charcuterie the board game from Third World Studios. I love that board games represent all these different stuff. We have board games for basically any theme out there, and I really love that because there really is a board game for everybody. I don't care what you're into, there's a game for you. You love fancy cheeses on a plate? Well, now we got a game for you with Charcuterie the board game. I just think it's really fun that there can be this high fantasy game where we're riding dragons and slaying monsters, and then also, how do you like your cured meats? Huh? How do you like your meats cured? And that's Charcuterie the board game. It's a lighter weight strategy game. Plays 2 to 6 players in about 20 to 30 minutes, and you are just drafting food pieces, fruits, cheeses, stuff like that. You are drafting pieces of food and then placing them onto your own personal charcuterie board, and you'll get points based on placement and stuff like that. So if you like drafting games, this one is fun and just looks really good on the table. You really do end with this really nice looking board of all this. You're gonna need an actual charcuterie plate when you play this game. Like, that's how good it looks. You're gonna look at this and go, man, I want to eat all of this, and you don't want to eat cardboard, so make sure that you have a real board of charcuterie in the middle of the table so people can go, I'm hungry. Oh, right there. Don't put this cardboard grape in your mouth, you know? So yeah, I'm just happy that this is a theme that exists in board games. This one will also be coming to crowdfunding later this year, so check it out. For best party game, I actually have a tie between two games. I didn't know how to pick between these two, and so I'm putting them both in this category. One is Blob Party from WizKids. This is a game, think Green Team Wins meets Medium. So there are two words that come up. It might be like fictional pet or something like that, right? Any two words that come up. Basketball technology, hat, books, and then you have to write a word that you think of that is inspired by those two words together. So fictional pet, maybe I write Lassie, maybe I write Old Yeller. You know, there's a lot of different things you can write, and it doesn't matter what you write, but what matters is once you reveal, anybody who has written the same answer becomes a blob. They form a blob together, and now they are now in future words, they are only coming up with one collective answer between them. Once you have a blob, all of the people come up with an answer together, and the goal is to get every person playing the game into the same blob by at least the 7th round. The game plays 4 to 8 players, but it's really component limited. You can play it with more than that if you have 2 copies, or even if you have multiple dry erase boards. We actually played this game multiple times at the convention late at night. You know, this is a perfect midnight, 1 a.m. game, and we played it with like 15 people. You know, we used the dry erase markers and boards from Blob Party, and then also the stuff from Green Team Wins. And so, you know, you can play it 4 to 8 players, but I think it shines at even more than that. It's just a really fun big group game because, you know, you'll get 12 people in a blob together and 2 people are over there and everybody's like, come on, what are you doing? What are you writing? That's what you wrote? And so there's those funny arguments and debates on like, I can't believe that's what you think of when you see these 2 words. You know, it's a very social game. And then the other party game that I wanted to talk about in this category is Adventure Party, the role-playing party game from Smirk and Dagger Games. This is actually on crowdfunding right now, so if this sounds interesting to you, you can go check it out immediately. But, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier in this video about how the Adventure Time RPG is great for bringing casual people into RPGs. I think Adventure Party is going to do the same thing. This one is a little bit more board game and less RPG, but still has a lot of RPG elements in it. Essentially, the way it works is the active player is going to roll a dice behind their privacy screen. And then they have to do some storytelling to push the story forward, but they are doing that in mind of the dice value that they rolled. So a scenario might come up like you board a pirate ship. What happens? And if you roll a 20, you know, it's going to be like I walk on board and I'm so attractive that everybody makes me the captain of the pirate ship immediately, and now I am a new captain and they bestow me with all of these riches. And then other people have to guess what number you are describing. If I was like describing a 3, I might be like, I board the pirate ship and they punch me in the gut and make me walk the plank, but thankfully I live. It's not a 1 in that situation. I didn't die, but I also got thrown off the pirate ship and my belly hurts. So every person is describing something, and then other people are guessing where they think their dice ended up. And so it's got those RPG story elements, it's got the dice rolling, and the closer that people can guess to the dice roll behind the privacy screen, the more experience points we're going to get as an adventuring party, the better we're going to do in the game. So if you nail it, if you guess exactly what I rolled, haha, yes, we're doing a great job together, and now our party has even more experience points as we move forward. So I just love the storytelling aspect of the game. It's going to be real fun, another fun one to play with, to bring people into RPG world. The best sequel I saw was My Island from Cosmos. This is coming out in later August, and it is a sequel to their hit game My City that came out a few years ago and won a lot of awards. My City won a ton of awards, and My Island is just as good. My City and My Island are both sort of known in the world of board games as lighter weight, more accessible legacy games. A lot of legacy games are very complicated. They're many, many hours of playing. Well, My City and My Island are both, family weight legacy games. You will be putting tiles on your board. In this game, you have an island board, and you are going to be adding tiles to your island board and filling out your island. And as you unlock new scenarios, there are different scenario packs in the game, it will change the rules slightly, and the decisions you made in the previous round are going to affect your board state and will affect where you can place stuff in future scenarios. And so there is that legacy aspect where you are adding things to your board and changing your board around, and the way you place stuff on there is going to matter and is going to affect you in the future. Now, my Island, they said like this one is a little bit more meaty than My City. It's not hard to get into by any means, but there's a little bit more depth of strategy here, a little bit more going on, a little bit more you need to keep track of. And so if you really liked My City, then I definitely think you're gonna like this one. There are 3 episodes per chapter in My Island and 8 chapters in the game. So there's a lot of content to play through in the game. And not only is it more mechanically dense than My City, but there's more story elements in My Island as well. So add a little bit of a through line, the story, to the game. So sounds pretty cool to me. The best small box game I saw was Gap from Arcane Wonders. Every other game that I've talked about so far is not out yet. It will be coming up later this year or even next year. Gap is already released. It just released in June. It made its debut at Origins, so this is one that you can get if you want it. If you are a fan of classic card games or even games like Uno, something like that, I think you would like Gap. I like it more than Uno, certainly, because there is a little bit more strategy here than a game like Uno. But in the game, it's just a card game. There is a market row of cards. You play a card from your hand, and then you take the cards, all of the cards that match the number that you played, or you take one of the cards that is either 1 digit up or 1 digit down from the card you played. And then you put them into sets of colors in front of you. And at the end of the hand, at the end of the round, you will score points for the gap between your set with the most cards and your set of the least cards. So if you've got a set of 3 and a set of 2, well, you messed up, that's only 1 point. But if you got a set of 7 and a set of 1, you got 6 points. That's a pretty good score for a round of Gap. And, you know, there is a hand. One round of this game takes about 5 minutes, and the rule book says basically you set a certain number of points, first to 40, that sort of thing. But you can make it as short or as long as you want it to be. And it's just like a fun, quick card game. You know, a very small box game you can put in your pocket and take anywhere. This is another game that I feel like will bring some more people into the world of modern board games, right? Everybody knows Uno, but then somebody loves Uno, have them play this and show them that there's some other cool card games out there. So, you know, that's the thing that makes me excited about Gap. The biggest surprise of Origins for me was Black Hole Rainbows from June Dune Games production. And I have to look at my computer to know the publisher's name because this is their first game. I've never heard of this game. I've never heard of this publisher. I've never heard anything about this. And it was one of the hits of Origins. It was one of the most talked about games at the convention. I saw people playing it all over. They sold out of their copies on Saturday before it was even done. And so, you know, this was a game that a lot of people were excited about, a lot of people were jumping into. It's a 2 to 6 player game, plays in about 30 minutes, and you definitely have to go into it with a silly attitude. You know, it's not a party game, but it is a chaotic game. And you can't go into it being like, this is my big strategy. No, it's a bunch of chaos. I'm taking from you, you're taking from me, this is happening, stuff switching all over, you know. But if you go into it with that attitude, knowing that there's a bunch of take that and everybody's going to get screwed over, then it's a lot of fun. The way the game works is you are playing cards to take some gems from the center galaxy board and then adding them to your own personal black hole. And when you fill up your black hole, you toss them back into the galaxy middle and then take a point. And first to like 5 or 6 or 7 points win, depending on player count. And but one of the chaotic things of the game is that you can play cards at any point. I can play a card on my own turn, but I can also play cards literally on anybody else's turn. So you might draft some gems, and then I play a card and take those from you. And then, you know, they play a card and take something from the middle. And so we're all just like stealing stuff all of the time, and it's about comboing your cards together and using them at the right time to get what you need to fill your black hole to get a point. And you know, points are hard to come by, so it's a mad scramble to get to just those few points, and it's very wacky and chaotic and fun. Check it out, Black Hole Rainbows. The best big box strategy game I saw was Forges of Ravenshire from BA Games. I actually saw a very early prototype of this game at Origins last year, Origins 2022, and I was intrigued by it, but this time I actually had a chance to sit down and play through the game, and you know, the prototype is pretty finished, you know, so I was seeing the real game, and I liked what I saw for sure. This one just finished its crowdfunding campaign, but it's open for late pledges and things like that, and will be coming out early 2024 most likely. It is a dice placement game, and that is one of my favorite mechanisms. I love dice placement, and this does the same thing that like Raiders of Scythia does, where you place a dice, you get a benefit, and then you take a dice and you get a benefit from that spot as well. So you're getting resources, and then you are using those resources to build upgrades on your board to make your forge more productive. And one of the interesting things is there are multiple different dice colors in the game. So when you take a dice from the central board, you are going to add it to one column in your board based on its color, and then you get to fire off that production line. I take a green dice, I could do all the things in my green line, so I want to build some upgrades for that green line and then get even more. And then you take all of the dice that you've placed here on the left side of your board and move them over to the right side of your board and run your forge and run even more production stuff. So whereas the color matters on this side, now the number matters on that side. Oh, I can put the 6 right here and get this benefit that I really need to fulfill this contract. So all of it is in service of finishing these contracts for points. But there's a lot of engine building, a lot of drafting, a lot of resource management. If you're a fan of those mechanisms, I definitely think you'll like this one. And, you know, it's got that fun sort of anthropomorphic animal artwork, right? Where it's, you know, it's animals running a forge, and that's fun, and the artwork's cool. So, yeah, I'm really excited for Forges of Ravenshire to come out. That's it. Those are my 2023 Origins Awards. Those are 11 games that I'm really excited about, and I hope that you are too. And so if you went to Origins, I hope you had a great time. I hope it was a great convention for you. I'm actually going to be at a bunch of conventions this summer. We're in convention season right now. So I'll be at RageCon in Reno. I will be at Gem State in Boise. I will be at the Level Up Retreat in Stamford, Connecticut. I will be at Gen Con. So if you're gonna go to any of those, definitely say hi to me. Maybe we can even get a game in. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying games. All right, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.